Okay, so I cleaned the compensating bolt, clutch hub nut, bolt or nut, compensating sprocket nut with a pick. I usually use a battery terminal brush, you know, the Christmas tree sign, but I couldn't find it. I think I lent it to somebody and they never freaking brought it back. So I ended up just using an old wire brush just to make sure. And then I clean it out with brake clean. So on here, I put a light film of anti-seize on the main shaft. This is your main shaft, the counter shaft's right there. Between the shifter and the main shaft, there was that seal bearing. I don't know if you noticed it from the other video, but that seal bearing right there, that's the counter shaft. Then I put a little bit of anti-seize on these splines, and then this is something I do. I don't know if anybody else does this. I've never met anyone. This is one that I totally came up with. I put just a light, super light film of assembly lube on the shifter through shaft. It goes to the inner primary. I replaced this O-ring already. I put a super light film of anti-seize inside the starter jack shaft collar right there. So let's get the inner primary on. And there you go. Okay. Center primary is resting. Now we're going to get our blue Loctite, our new lock tabs. I know some people reuse the lock tabs. I do believe this would be the second go around with these, so I'm just going to get rid of them. I mean, give me peace of mind. I don't mind working on my own bike, but if I don't have to do it twice, why? So I'm going to toss these out. They'll go in the goodbye pile. Now, you have two tangs on one side and one tang on the other side. And a lot of people put the double tang to the inside of the bolt. I put the double tang on the outside. So when I put the hex on, it will lock it in a little bit better. I'm just using a 1/4 inch drive to seat these. And I'm not even seating them. I'm just putting them in lightly for right now. Some blue Loctite. Okay, I did replace the O-ring that goes on the left half engine case. If you're wondering, yes, I did replace it. Don't forget to put this fork on. This fork right here. This goes on your shifter shaft guide. I apologize, I don't remember what the exact name of the thing is. If you really want to know, you can find it. But it just keeps it in place. So your shifter rod doesn't come free. Okay, lightly seated. I started doing this, the two tangs, toward the hex side of the bolt when I was doing a lot of shovel head work, because, you know, as you shovel head guys know, you use safety wire on a lot of stuff. And so I started putting the tangs, the double tang, to the outside so I could double lock the inner, so I could double lock the hex head. All right, I told you I was going to get new hardware for these inner primary bolts, and I did. You twin cam guys are lucky because you don't have to align your motors. Evo and earlier, we have to do motor alignment with different size spacers and a straight edge and veneer calipers, and it's not a big deal. I mean, once you've done it once or twice, it's like, okay, no problem. Okay, so now the torque spec for these hardware are 18 to 21. So that's 3. So we'll do 1.5 off of 18, which put us 19.5. So as long as we're somewhere between 19 and 20 on initial torquing, crosshatch pattern, inside outward. Apologize, I didn't get this ready before yeah, that's my digital torque wrench going beep. Like I said, I was in the industry for many years. And even after I left the industry, I still ran my own shop for a little while. So, like I said, 18 to 21. We're in inch pounds right now, so we're going to switch over to foot. So we'll shoot for 19. We're going to start from this one. This one goes to the tran. Left side case. Upper motor side case. 19.5. You like that? Sorry. New hardware, so we're going bing bang. Now we're going to go up, back down. Okay. 19 on the final one. All right, so there we go. Inner primary has been installed. So now we're going to do our starter shaft seal, because I did the inner primary main seal, but I didn't do the starter shaft seal. The reason being, because it's much easier to do when it's in the bike. This is another one you got to be careful when you're grabbing it. You don't want to grab too deep, because if you do, you're going to grab the inner primary. And you can and will break the inner primary. And that would be a whole lot of bad. I like to inspect my bushing. This bushing can be replaced. Done it once and it sucked, so I try not to do it. If you have to replace this bushing, you've got deeper issues than you want to know about. So now this seal will go on the way that you would normally put it in. And how do I get this seal in? Relatively easy. We're going to use an oversized socket. Where is it? It's that one, yep. Second try. So that would be a 1-inch, half-inch drive. Now we're going to start it. Just going to take it. I know some people like to put Loctite on these. I've never done it. I've seen it done. Kind of amused me a little bit. Again, I've never done it. If you have done it that way and are comfortable with it that way, keep doing it. I've just never done it that way, but I have seen it done. Now we're going to take our 1-inch extension, or our 1-inch socket, put it on backwards, take it, drive it in. I heard the tempo change. I don't know if you picked up on that, but I heard the tempo change. Told me it's sealed, but I'm checking it with my finger just to make sure. Because that's the funny thing about bearings and seals, is they will tell you a couple taps for love. I just literally tapped it. I didn't even hit it. Once again, just making sure it's all copacetic. So now, this is our starter jack shaft. Make sure it's 100% clean. Don't forget the bevel edge. Shallow bevel edge faces the bike. Spring will go on your side. Has a bevel edge, but it's deeper. If you're wondering, this is an 8410 ring and pinion assembly. That is got just a smidge of NICs on it. And honestly, I put a smidge of NICs on these bolts. I was working on a bike many years ago to do disassembly. And the freaking bolt was frozen in place. And it's sheared. And that was a whole lot of fun. Because clients don't understand that washing your bike repeatedly and not riding it enough is bad. So new washers, lock tab washer, and then inner starter washer. This is another one of those feel things, but I think I said this already, but this is an 8410 ring and pinion. It's for ease of starting. Because my motor is an 80 cubic inch motor that has been massaged. And I'm sure I've said that, but so I'm just going to seat this. Sometimes I wear gloves. I have lupus. I'm sure I've said that before, but I have this wonderful disease called lupus. And sometimes the greases and oils bother my skin, so there it is. Get the starter in play. There it goes. Like I said, I don't do editing, so you're seeing it as I'm doing it. Got no reason to hide from you. I don't know if you call it bloopers or whatever, but so that's that. I'm gonna put the inner starter bolts. So there's 2 starter bolts to go. 2 starter bolts, one here and one on the opposite side. This has a secondary ground. Sorry, has a ground from the inner primary. A lot of people mount them to this bolt. I don't. FXR gave me a area to put this negative ground on, or the negative or ground, however you want to call it, put it on there. So I just do it the way FXR. And those that are wondering, Eric Buell. So if you're anti-Buell, you're anti-FXR, because Eric Buell is one of the engineers on Project FXR. So if you don't like Buells and you want an FXR, sell your FXR now. Anyway, the hardware for the inner starter bolts is 10 to 12. Make sure you get it lined up. That's kind of why I started this bolt. It kind of draws the starter into a proper position. And I will catch up with you here in a few minutes when we put the inner primary, when we put the chain on and the clutch back together.